Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Deeply Human Leading. I'm Leanne Del Carpio, and I am super excited to introduce you to one of my favorite people in the world, actually, Shannon Gomez, who someone I can introduce to you both professionally in terms of her credentials, but also with immense personal gratitude. So I've got a couple things I wanted to share with you in terms of her background, and I've written down some of the places that she's studied so that I get the pronunciation right. But she's not only a licensed acupuncturist and holds a master's of science in traditional Chinese medicine, and she's also an herbalist, but she's also, I'd say, a profound integrated healer here in the Phoenix area in Arizona, who has helped countless numbers of individuals across all domains of professional and personal experience. She creates a really safe space for healing, and she trained. This is over 2 decades that she's been doing this in the Phoenix area. She trained at, this is what I wanted to get right, Guang'amen Hospital in Beijing, twice actually. And before that, she served as a health promoter with the Peace Corps in the Dominican Republic, which was really, I think, where you began kind of focused more on maybe more of that integrated care, community-based care, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. And she's also a very intuitive, creative entrepreneur, which I also deeply respect and admire, a female entrepreneur who has created a fun card deck for self-improvement. It's called the Rebel Deck. Some of you may know of it. And it's a great way to, when you're exploring a new edge in life, or you just want to kind of reflect. You know how some people can pull affirmation cards, and they're very nice and ethereal and supportive, but sometimes you just need a little kick in the, you know what? This deck, right, and these cards really help promote a little clarity with that's real and relevant with a little sass. So I love that too. I came to Shannon during maybe one of the more challenging seasons in my life, when in 2012, and that's how long we've known one another for, a long time, which is crazy, over like almost 15 years now. But I basically went through kind of a rock bottom period in life where through a series of situations and discoveries, my marriage ended. I lost everything, as you know, my life savings in what turned out to be a Ponzi scheme, which was a little difficult. And then I had 2 young girls to provide for and lost my job right prior to the Christmas holiday. So I didn't know how to, I was surrounded with a lot of uncertainty, one can say, a lot of disruption. And it was in that time period on the acupuncture table, but also just in the healing sessions with Shannon, that I began to come back to myself. And that's one of the things I really value most about your work, is you help individuals listen to that quiet wisdom from within, the body's wisdom, but also their own wisdom. And I thought in this age of AI acceleration, this could be a really powerful practice for many. So without further ado, welcome, Shannon Gomez.
Thank you, Leanne. I'm so excited to be here. You are one of my favorite people also, and I love our sessions together because we can keep it professional and then we can go deep.
Totally.
And we can clear, and we can just kind of meet each other at different levels. And so I really appreciate the time that we've been able to work together. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm just delighted that you can join us. And I'm thrilled that others are going to be able to benefit from your wisdom as well. So maybe let's start there. When I first posed the opportunity for us to just sit down and have this conversation, and I shared with you that I'm really trying to create a space where we can reflect on what it means to be deeply human in this age of AI acceleration, where we also embrace AI, right? For like, it's not anti-AI, it's not pro-AI, it's just like a reality. It's just the world that we live in. But there's also something deeply human that we can bring to the table. So what about that kind of whole construct from where you sit with your work was interesting, or a place where you thought, hey, I've got something, a voice to add to that dialogue?
Something that I'm extremely passionate about is personal freedom, is personal sovereignty. And after studying this medicine for almost 20 years, and this medicine being almost 5,000 years old, one of the main benefits to acupuncture is connecting to self. It is balancing, harmonizing your body. It's communication with your nervous system. It is really understanding what's going on in the self to be able to heal and also to be able to talk about what's going on to other professionals and to family and to community. So it is taking back what is ours, and I love facilitating that for people.
Who or what are we taking? So what are we taking back? And who or what are we taking it back from? Because I love this concept, and I'm a big proponent, as you know, of personal agency, personal sovereignty, and the power that we have within it may just have been forgotten or never fully developed. And so I'm just curious what your perspective is on that. What are we taking back, and from who or what?
So something that I think is important with that is focusing on the body and how safe we feel in the body due to trauma, work, stress, family, you name it. We have learned that our body might not be safe, and we've learned that our minds sometimes are not safe. And so by treating that, your vessel, you are able to connect and take that power back. What is true for me? What is right for me? And acupuncture, lying on the table, really connecting. Sometimes this is the only time all week, all month, all year, people have to connect to themselves. They feel the energy moving. They are connected to their nervous system, whether they kind of want to or not. I can't tell you how many times people will say, well, can I have my phone with me while I'm lying on the table?
Oh, interesting.
And I gently remind them that this is your time to connect to yourself. And so we are giving our power away to technology instead of working with technology. We are giving our power away to professionals that may not know us the way that we know us, and they're not listening the way that we would ideally love them to be listening. We are giving our power away to our families, not in a way that isn't beneficial, but it's the truth. If we are with our children, we're with partners, a lot of times we have to get things done. And that might be, you know what, I can't deal with this right now because I have to get the kids to school. So I like to hold space for all of that when people come to the table, and that way they can bring their power back to themselves, back home.
And there's a somatic way that registers in my own experience coming out of a session with you, that it's like there's a exhale and there's like a recalibration or a realignment, and I imagine that you have people that you see that are both like maybe not just out of touch with what's going on internally, but also getting pulled more and more into the technology, but they need to or want to for their own business, their own livelihood. Like, how do you look at AI adoption in your own world so that you do kind of ground yourself before meeting others? Like, how do you balance that personally to connect with technology?
I'm prepared now for people to come in with a little bit more knowledge about themselves, and kind of in a, well, I think I have GERD. I think I have,
Dr. Google, but now it's Dr. ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. They're Googling, or they're putting their symptoms in ChatGPT. This is what I have. And so that is, I appreciate that because they're taking initiative in their health. But again, it's kind of like, well, what are you feeling? What's going on in your GI system, so to speak? Are you under a lot of stress? What is triggering this? And a lot of times they don't have an answer for that. They have an answer for, I think this is what AI told me I have based on these symptoms, but I'll also ask, what is your symptom trying to tell you? And then that pauses there, I didn't really think of it that way. And we forget that our body is constantly talking to us. And we also forget that our body has the wisdom to do so many things without us even knowing. So we take in food, we digest it, we use it in the body, we have our heart pumping, all of these things without our knowledge, without our awareness. And but then we cut ourself off from our body thinking like, well, our body doesn't know what it's doing, even though it does all of these things all day long. And that wisdom and that intelligence, we don't really tap into that.
And it's a really important, not just dialogue, but practice to have, right? To remember that power that our bodies have, that wisdom that's within, but then also processes to actually listen to what our bodies are sharing for us. So when people are with you, you guide them through that practice or reflection. Are there other things that, like people who they've maybe never thought about acupuncture, they've never thought about traditional Chinese medicine, maybe they have other practices that they do for their own wellness or not. How do we begin listening to our body's wisdom?
Pausing.
Yeah.
Pausing and just having the intention to go within. We've heard it a million times, but it really is the answer, because how do we even know how to answer without at first checking in?
We don't even think about it. It's funny because oftentimes we outsource our thinking to AI, right? We just have this question, and we're like, oh, let's check with Claude, let's check with Gemini, let's check with ChatGPT. When in actuality, and my kids went to, as you know, more of like a school that was based in like critical thinking, the Socratic method, because I wanted them to have that ability to think. And I'm worried that in this space of, I want to use AI. It's part, and we must for it to be productive and competitive in the workplace going forward. But how do we not lose that ability to first think, pause, reflect, and use the data from our body as an actual data set? Because I don't know that that's really trained anywhere in day-to-day. I mean, in your household, I'm sure you have 3 kids, so I'm sure you're teaching them that,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I get pushback also.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's so quick. There's more dopamine to be had by, let me just go to the phone. Let me just check this out. Let me do something that doesn't require pausing and looking within. And, we were talking about before is that sometimes people don't want to do that because they don't feel safe in their body. Yeah. Because of trauma and other things that have happened, they don't want to go there. Yeah. And so in my practice, I really try to meet people where they are. Yeah. And in other ways too, that I want to be a place where we also embrace Western medicine as well as Asian medicine. Yes. Just like I want to embrace internal knowledge and artificial. So it is not about one is better than the other. No. It is about, we're going to use antibiotics, we're going to get imaging. Yep. We are going to use the science that we have. Yep. And we are going to use that and use our own knowledge. And if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yeah. And that's how I'm trying to also approach AI, is that it's here. I embraced it from the very beginning because I'm used to embracing both. I'm used to harmonizing both. And that's the difference. And that's actually the basis that we've really built into these dialogues on this podcast, is to the and both way of thinking, right? And so I found this article that it made me think of you, and so I wanted to be sure to bring it. There was this article that was published last December. It was in the Academy of Therapy Wisdom. So it was actually from a trauma therapist, right, who was reflecting on AI, especially when there is so much trauma that people have and that level of safety. And she said, this is Erin Cutrone in Wise Therapy Spotlight, the Academy of Therapy Wisdom. And she said, when we outsource our internal knowing to cut and paste information, we also outsource our personal power and our intuition, overriding and disregarding important internal cues. Safety is delivered nervous system to nervous system, which is exactly what you're just saying. AI can deliver information and insight, but it cannot deliver integration. Help me understand what, I just thought of you immediately, so I guess what comes alive for you in that, and what does it mean for it cannot deliver integration? One of the things that brings up for me is, first, as a practitioner, I'm very passionate about keeping my vessel clean and attuned and unbiased for patients. Because if a nervous system is attuning to another nervous system and we're really embracing holistic care, then that can't be denied. So I want to make sure that I'm doing my own self-practices to be able to treat someone else. And I think when it comes to integration, that is one of the things that acupuncture and Chinese medicine just shines because we take what's going on in the body and we signal through the nervous system, through qi, and even that, if I may, we have a lot of studies now talking about exactly what the needles do. And they are communicating with the nervous system, and they're at some points, especially if you hook it up to electroacupuncture, releasing stem cells in the body. So we have a bridge there between acupuncture and stem cells.
Beautiful.
I also hold
health.
Exactly. That we have with just very, simple tools. And I also hold space for the vital energy flow, the qi, the meridians, which there is a lot of crossover to the nervous system. So in that way, whenever people come and they get acupuncture, we are integrating.
Got it.
We are integrating emotions. We are integrating different, very concrete symptoms into the body so the body can do what it's designed to do. Just like how when we eat, like I was saying before, we're integrating that food into our system so that it can be utilized. The one thing that the body does the best is integration, but we forget about that.
And modern society, I don't know that I know too many places that helps us reflect on and connect that level of integration. And always, even though I know so much of the power of acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine and herbs, and I've had not only our experience, but during my pregnancies, I also went under Western care as well as acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, and it was that kind of balance. I still am always marveling when I come in and my shoulder hurts and we put a needle on my foot, how like everything is really connected. And so I think it's so easy in modern day-to-day living, even when you cognitively understand the power, how you can experientially forget. What helps people have that more holistic understanding? Because there may be something in that we could bring to our learning with AI as well.
I think community, and I think practitioners that are willing to hold the space for both. We have highly, highly functioning, people, very successful people that are tired of holding it all together. And so we need practitioners to step up and say, you know what, I have been working on myself and I'm willing to hold space for people to come and be vulnerable and then allow them to kind of like let their guard down so that they can receive the medicine at whatever level is appropriate for them.
I love that. I was wondering, like broadly, you do see people of all different like walks of life, and I'm wondering if you could kind of comment. You did mention the Dr. ChatGPT element that you're seeing increasingly, but do you see anything else in the collective nervous systems of those people that are showing up on their table? Is there anything that's like just observationally different or shifting or trending the more that people are using AI? I'm wondering because I remember in the early days of social media, before we had all the studies on social media and mental health, and the almost like brain rot that can happen, right? If we're too addicted to it. We're in those early days of AI, and I'm wondering how that's showing up in the bodies and the collective nervous system of those that you see.
I think it's the speed. I think it's the speed in which people are living their lives. And they really are not, unless they are making a conscious effort. I see a lot of people post car accidents. And those are very, very scary moments for them. And we all know if we've been in something scary, we feel like we leave our body. And we feel like, I just disassociated. I don't know. I don't know what happened. And then they just go and live their lives. And then they don't realize, hey, I have to kind of revisit this. I have to see what happened in my nervous system. So I think people are less likely to reflect because there's something that can kind of be a Band-Aid. Social media, binging, shows. Again, like, how do I feel? What do I do with this, ChatGPT? Well, you are going through post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Right.
Good job for coming and bringing that to me, you
Yeah,
know, or
right.
whatever the conversation is.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I have that. I'm going to go.
Label.
Yeah, I'm just going to go hang with my friends now.
Yeah.
Well, what do we do with that information?
Yeah.
And I think that is where we need to spend more time is we have the information, but what do we do with the information?
Yeah. It's interesting because, again, like the quote said, like AI can provide information and insight, but it doesn't say wisdom, right? And we're going to be drowning in competent output from like all the information on the web, plus all the creativity that humans add to AI. And like, we're going to have so many sources of competent or maybe factual information, but we may be in a real shortage of human discernment, human judgment, like, I mean, even the executive function of the brain. Can we even get there if we're stuck in the primitive, more amygdala hijacking and we're disassociating and we're all drowning in PTSD because of the acceleration? Where does human wisdom come from?
Exactly. And where does nuance come from?
Yeah.
You can ask ChatGPT all you want about PTSD. I just got in an accident. I just had this trauma happen. But one of the things that we know is you have to know how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
If not, ChatGPT will take you down this whole other road because you didn't tell it to act like a trauma-informed therapist. If you don't even know to tell ChatGPT or to tell AI how to answer these questions, you could be getting just kind of whatever. So whenever you come to a practitioner or you really sit with yourself, then I'm asking questions that they've never even thought of.
Yeah.
And that's where the wisdom, that's where the nuance comes in, that, well, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
And without that human to human interaction, they would never have gotten that.
Sense making, meaning making, listening, reflection. This is not something that I hear a lot of schools focusing on. I mean, and there will be teachers that do argue that I'm creating that space, and thank God there are those that are trying to create it, but it's with the pace and the speed and the social media consumption, the rest of it in our workplaces, I don't hear that. I certainly, don't. We have to push for spaces for leaders to slow down, take an offsite when we conduct the offsites to actually have these moments of reflection. And they're like starving or maybe thirsty in the desert is a better, sort of analogy or metaphor. All right. So what's so interesting is there was this article, another article from Emory. I'm just looking at the source, the Emory University, the business school there, and you can find this on emorybusiness.com, published an article, a study actually, December 26th of 2025, and it said the following, that AI generates plausible patterns. Humans generate meaning. So one optimizes for coherence, the other searches for truth. And when you looked at like what the Emory researchers called out, they were actually calling out the danger of mistaking AI output for human wisdom, and something that they coined a term, which is kind of interesting. It comes from Greek, so Greek origin of knowledge or understanding, and they called it Epistemia. Basically, the illusion of understanding that happens when a persuasive, coherent answer poses as genuine wisdom. So this is like
cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, almost. Like when you put something in and then AI gets it completely wrong, but it does it like so eloquently and with such confidence and with such authority. Like you start doubting. And your own human discernment sort of quietly steps to the side, and then you outsource your own sovereignty or agency to something synthetic that hasn't had organic lived experience. And so, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that as you hear that concept?
I can't tell you how many times I've corrected ChatGPT.
Really?
I've corrected AI. I've been like, nope, that's not right. If I'm using something for an email or if I'm doing something like emotional freedom technique or something, and I will ask and I'm like, nope. And that's why it's important that we are experts in the field in which we're going to ask.
Yes.
Or we practice that discernment. And to kind of go with your quote with AI has these plausible patterns because it's fake, right? It's artificial. Humans, yes, we have patterns, but I don't know how many times we just completely change direction.
because we have that ability from our own organic
Yes,
lived
and we're
experience.
using our intuition, and we're using our own personal force to say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to turn right. I'm going to turn right. You know what? I'm going to go left.
Yeah.
Because I want to,
And
or
not
because I
the
have new
GPS
information.
Exactly. And we have that flexibility built in. Talk to me for a second about the role of intuition. So you're, I think, a very highly intuitive, not just practitioner, you have a skill in intuition that you've really honed over the years that I think you also bring to all of your healing work. And even I think like your Rebel deck, your card deck as a self-improvement tool helps people in a funny way, sassy way, kind of connect with like, maybe you have some intuition internally, or maybe there's a question that could help you discern what's going on. Talk to me about the power of intuition, especially as AI accelerates.
It's our superpower. We all have it, just like everyone can play the piano. Whether or not they want to dedicate time, they want to get lessons on it, but we all physically can move our fingers to play the piano or, create music on the piano, just like intuition. And AI takes that away from us. We give it that power. It doesn't say, don't listen to your intuition. We just kind of automatically do it without thinking.
And that's, I think, the evolution, because when I first started using AI, I used it as a tool. And I found myself falling into that same trap where you like almost like social media, you can get like really hooked into it. So I was almost like wanting to ask it for its reflections first before I reflected first. And then I wasn't practicing good human critical thinking or discernment when I first started playing with it. And I started asking it, wait, so how do you know that? How do you know that that's actually true? And I actually disagree with that. And then it started to become a thought partner with me. And then I actually asked it to challenge my way of thinking, and what are the holes that you see, and what's the elephant in the room, and what am I not owning? And I'd say, I want to do the same thing for you. And we became kind of sparring partners back and forth to the point where it's now a team member.
But you even knew enough to do that.
Somehow
you were wise
along the way,
enough to do that. If somebody is a teenager,
Right.
early 20s, they don't want to hear where they're wrong.
Right.
They might not even think I'm wrong. They just, I'm asking, so I must be getting correct information.
Yeah.
But that lived wisdom isn't getting inputted.
Yeah.
And that feeling of discomfort of being wrong, or that feeling of discomfort of, I don't really know if what they're giving me back is true for me because I haven't even checked in yet.
Yeah.
And so that, again, is why I think podcasts like this are so important, to remind people that we are human first and deeply human. And that means connecting to your intuition. That means making a promise to self to really study things that people are passionate about first, and then if they want to utilize ChatGPT or whatever AI, they can. And then they will know, wait, that's not correct.
Yeah. And that is a conversation I just had with my daughter last night and this morning, and both times she was like, oh, Mom, God, with the AI, come on, like, does every conversation need to like come back to that? But I'm like, listen, girl, this is moving so quickly. It's so slippery and so easily to outsource your agency to this thing. It's moving so fast. And the closer we get to this artificial general intelligence, however people define that, the faster and easier it is to say that knowledge, that information has a value above what we can bring. When in actuality, I want her to anchor back into what she knows from within, validate that brings such value somatically, intuitively, questions that are coming up, and then enter into a totally different dialogue. When we do that, I feel like the output is actually phenomenal. So I guess maybe in closing, is there anything else from traditional Chinese medicine, and you can think broadly, I've learned a lot about how qi flows through or energy flows through our systems. I've learned other principles of like Wu Wei, I think, which is like more moving with, more effortless action versus like being, fighting yourself upstream. I don't know, other concepts that are part of the foundation of traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture. Is there anything else from that body of work that you would offer that could be helpful to us, to teaching ourselves or our kids as we are going forward, to stay grounded in our wisdom and also engaging with artificial intelligence?
I think it comes back to self-trust.
Okay.
think it comes back to taking time, like we've already mentioned, and tuning into the body. And not just for a couple minutes. And it doesn't have to be meditation. It can be a walking awareness. It can be when you're driving. But getting into those uncomfortable parts of ourselves. Is that in our gut? Is that in our heart? Is that in our low back? Is that in our shoulders? And asking ourselves, what's going on here? What's happening? And in that way, it brings us back to ourselves. And then we can do whatever we want with that information. But as kind of like a needle, it starts at that point. It starts at the point where we really connect deeply with ourselves and remind ourselves we have all of this wisdom in our body. And what can we really learn from that?
I love that. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for joining me in this conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to experience your work, on a regular basis. And I'm so grateful for everything that how I've been able to grow as a result of that. If others want to find you, where would you point them in case they want to gain from your experience and wisdom?
My personal website is goshannongo.com.
Awesome.
I kind of have different things, branching off from that site. And if they are interested in the Rebel Deck, which is just this no-nonsense kind of go through, unblock your energy deck, that is at rebeldeck.com.
Awesome. Just for fun, why don't we you have, I think, a Rebel Deck with us today, and let's just pull a card just for fun to see what's the message or the wisdom that we would bring ourselves as we think about being deeply human in the age of AI.
Okay, and this is a very, very human type deck. This is like your bestie on paper, Who
would tell you the truth when everyone else is it's going to be fine.
Exactly.
I have to share a story that I gave your Rebel Deck to somebody who's struggling going through cancer right now. And she was getting she's still struggling through it. And it's such a journey when you go through the chemo and the rest of it, but you're getting everyone's giving you, I guess, pink everything, pink shirts and water bottles that have all this, inspirational stuff. And I typically try to be very inspirational, but I'm looking at the stuff that, the gifts, and I'm I don't want to, I feel at some point is maybe just meeting her in the real mess of what is right now is the better thing to do. And I shared this with her and she's this is phenomenal because it just calls out the truth in kind of a sassy way.
Yeah, with artificial intelligence, a lot of times it's way to go, thank you for bringing this. And then when you pick a card like this, which was created by a human,
right?
It's F fear.
Yeah.
I split the deck. I was the first one, F fear. It will lie to your face.
That's so interesting. Yes.
So moving forward in your personal sovereignty, being brave, all of those things, artificial intelligence, while it's great, it can't teach us. We have to experience that. So I love that. We were told to just F fear because that is not really what's going on in the body.
I love that. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for that fun little add-on at the end. And I hope that people can find you as they go forward. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much, Leanne.
Thanks for spending this time with us. If something landed, sit with it. That pause is actually where the real work happens. And if you're navigating this shift at your organization and you'd like to bring this conversation inside your walls, go ahead and find us at deeplyhumanleading.com. If today's episode landed with you, share it with somebody that you think could really use it. The ripple starts there. Until next time, stay curious and stay human.